अमृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नौ मुहुः वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीव गोपालकौ।
To the Prabhupada Disciples Association weekly class schedule. The classes begin on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and for those people on the East Coast. And we have a class on Saturday morning for those who are new to the program. It's a Bhagavad Gita class, and it begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada and Eastern United States, so you can adjust your schedule accordingly. And we have a Srimad Bhagavatam class on Sunday morning at the same time, 10 a.m. And with our PDA, Prabhupada Disciples Association media group, we are discussing different ways to continue to expand our preaching work globally using Prabhupada's original, unadulterated books. This is one of the features of this group, which people globally are crying out for. They want to see the original books and hear the philosophy with the same authenticity and originality that the movement had in the early 70s when Prabhupada was personally with us. So please tell your friends globally about these classes and our association of devotees. We have multiple programs we're developing this year, and they'll gradually expand our association with all of you who join us in this efforts to revitalize the Krishna Consciousness movement the way Prabhupada started it in 1965. If you recall, Prabhupada traveled on a journey from Calcutta, India by himself on the ship Jaladuta. And today we're going to continue on reading from his diary. And this is on Tuesday, August 17th, 1965. He's on the boat and left the Bay of Bengal. And if you see here, I'll show you. You can see all how detailed he wrote at this part of the journey in his diary what his feelings were, what his situation was, so that we now in 2023 can go back in time with him and relish the great austerity and adventurous spirit that Srila Prabhupada possessed in leaving India on his own with hardly any money, $6 or $7 in US funds, based on his 100% faith that Krishna would protect him on his journey to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master and that of Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. So this is Tuesday, the 17th. Today, the morning sky is scattered with cloud. The ship is going toward western side. I feel a little bit well after my passing stool. The ship is running against wind current. The sea is a little rougher. At 10:30, we saw the south coast of Ceylon with a white lighthouse. 2 ships passed from the opposite side. Some daring fishermen were fishing in small boats. From a distance, they appeared to be almost drowning in the water, but the next moment, they appeared to be safely working. There is sunshine, but the sky is not clear. The captain informed me that by the next 6 hours, we shall reach Colombo port. The hilly southernmost Ceylon coast is said to be 4 to 5 miles away from our ship. This means the fishermen were fishing in small boats 5 to 10 miles from their native coast. Certainly a very daring job. At about 2 p.m., we have now turned towards northern front. The sky is cloudy, but we are forwarding steadily. Today, I am better than the other 3 days. At 3 p.m., the Colombo city became faintly visible from the ship. So Prabhupada had suffered seasickness getting on the boat. The color of water in the Indian Ocean is different from that of Bay of Bengal. The ship reached exactly at 4:30 in the port, but the management of Colombo port could not receive the ship for want of berth, and then it is anchored on the shore, waiting to enter the port. At about 9 p.m., the ship was escorted by the pilot, and we entered the dockyard. Very old pattern, but there were many ships from various countries, including passenger and cargo ships. At night, the dockyard ships assumed a brilliant spectacle on account of profuse light. We tested the whole night, the ship being answered. We rested the whole night, the ship being anchored. Next morning, barges loaded with goods arrived near the ship. Wednesday, the 18th. Today, 18/8/65, Prabhupada announces, I felt quite normal, and the seasickness completely removed. The ship remained silent the whole day on account of hazy sky, and only a few loads of goods were admitted. I wanted to see the Colombo city, but I could not make any arrangement. The ship was standing at the midstream, and that I did not like to go alone. Thursday, the 19th. The next morning, 19/8/65, I informed my situation to Captain Pandya, and he was very kind to take me to the shore in a motor launch. Very exciting. We dropped at Elizabeth Gate, talked with the Ceylonese clerks, and then in a taxi, we went to the office of Narottam and Pierre Company. The manager, Mr. Banka, was a Gujarati gentleman, and he received me as well. He arranged for me a good car to go round the city. The office quarter was quite busy, and many foreign offices and renowned banks were there. I saw the Governor's General's house, the Parliament House, the Town Hall, and one very nice seaside hotel, and passed through very nice clean roads and bazaars. The city appeared to be nice and clean, and the small bungalows nicely decorated. It appears that people, although not very good looking, they are not uncultured, neither they are tasteless. The city is quite up to resembling an Indian city like Madras or Pune. The buses and taxis were clean to see. The bus stands almost crowdy, like that of the Indian cities. The offices conducted almost in Indian style. The culture and civilization is Indian, cent per cent, but artificially India and Ceylon is divided. We started for Cochin at 6 p.m. The ship started at 7 p.m., the pilot being late in reaching the ship. It ran for the whole night and next day up to 3:30 p.m. and reached the coast of Cochin. The ship is standing on the coast of Cochin without entering the dock. Friday the 20th. Today, 2865, the captain arranged for a meeting on board the MV Jaladuta on account of Janmashtami Day, and I spoke for an hour on the philosophy and teachings of Lord Sri Krishna. All the officers attended the meeting, and there was distribution of prasadam. The matter was radiographed Srimati Sumati Murarji in Bombay. The ship is stranded on the Arabian Sea about 4 miles away from the coast, and we are in this position from 3:20 p.m. 2008-65 to 9:30 a.m. on 22/8/65. So that's 2 days. And we'll continue this reading on Saturday morning as we carry on with our program. And today we're going to have Bhaktivedanta read to us about the festivals, Vaishnava festivals that are occurring this week for everyone's information. Bhaktivedanta? Yes.
Sorry, Prabhu, I didn't really prepare anything for today. I think we'll do that from next time onwards. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Okay, we'll start on that. Let's play the Radhamada bhajan sang by Srila Prabhupada. All of us, please chant along, partake in the program orally and vocally, or hearing and chanting, and we'll invite Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu to do his wonderful reading of Caitanya-caritāmṛta and a discussion with the group. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Devotee Association.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namācārya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Mai ki jai, Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Namaum Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prestaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaham Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to this reading of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We will be reading from the original 1972 unedited, non-adulterated version. We are reading from Adi Lila chapter 2, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement, page number 89. This chapter explains that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. Therefore, the Brahman effulgence is the bodily luster of Lord Chaitanya, and the localized supersoul situated in the heart of every living entity is his partial representation. The Purusha avatars are also explained in this connection. Mahavishnu is the reservoir of all conditioned souls. But as confirmed in the authoritative scriptures, Lord Krishna is the ultimate fountainhead, the source of numerous plenary expansions, including Narayana, who is generally accepted by Mayavadi philosophers to be the absolute truth. The Lord's manifestation of Prabhav and Vaibhava expansions, as well as partial incarnations and incarnations with delegated powers, are also explained. Lord Krishna's ages of boyhood and youth are discussed, and it is explained that his age at the beginning of youth is his eternal form. The spiritual sky contains innumerable spiritual planets, the Vaikunthas, which are manifestations of the Supreme Lord's internal energy. Innumerable material universes are similarly exhibited by his external energy, and the living entities are manifested by his marginal energy. Because Lord Krishna Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna, he is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. He is eternal, and his form is spiritual. Lord Chaitanya is directly the Supreme Lord Krishna, as the evidence of authoritative scriptures proves. This chapter stresses that a devotee must have knowledge of Krishna's personal form, his three principal energies, his pastimes, and the relationship of the living entities with him in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. Text 1. Sri Caitanya Prabhum Vande Balopi Yadanugrahat Tarennana Matagraha Vyaptad Siddhanta Sagaram. Sri Caitanya Prabhum, to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vande, I offer obeisances. Balaha, an ignorant child. Api, even. Yat, of whom. Anugrahat, by the mercy. Taret, may cross over. Nana, various. Mata, of tyrannies. Graha, the crocodiles. Vyaptam, filled with. Siddhanta, of conclusions. Sagaram, the ocean. Translation. I offer my obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even an ignorant child can swim across the ocean of conclusive truth, which is full of the crocodiles of various theories. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even an inexperienced boy with no educational culture can be saved from the ocean of nescience, which is full of various types of philosophical doctrines that are like dangerous aquatic animals. The philosophy of the Buddha, the argumentative presentation of the Jnanis, the yoga systems of Patanjali and Gautama, and the systems of philosophers like Kanada, Kapila, and Dattatreya are dangerous creatures in the ocean of nescience. By the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can have real understanding of the essence of knowledge by avoiding these sectarian views and accepting the lotus feet of Krishna as the ultimate goal of life. Let us all worship Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his gracious mercy to the conditioned souls. Text number 2. Krishnat-kirtana-ganana kala patopani brajita sadbhaktavaliham sachakra madhupa srini viharaspadam karananandi kaladvanira vahatumi jiva maruprangani Sri Chaitanya Dayanide Tabala Sallila Sudasvarduni. Krishna, of the holy name of Lord Krishna, with kirtana, loud chanting, gana, singing, nartana, dancing, kala, of the other fine arts, pathojani, with lotuses, brajita, beautified, sadbhakta, of pure devotees, avali, rose, hamsa, of swans, chakra, chakravaka birds, madhupa, and bumblebees, srini, like swarms, vihara, of pleasure, aspadam, the abode, karna anandi, gladdening the ears, kala, melodious, dvanihi, sound, vahatu, let it flow, me, my, jiva, of the tongue, maru, desert-like, prangane, in the courtyard, Sri Chaitanya Dayanide, of Lord Chaitanya, ocean of mercy, tava, of you, lasat, shining, lila sudha, of the nectar of the pastime, svarduni, the Ganges. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O my merciful Lord Chaitanya, may the nectarian Ganges water of your transcendental activities flow on the surface of my desert-like tongue. Beautifying these waters are the lotus flowers of singing, dancing, and loud chanting of Krishna's holy name, which are the pleasure abodes of unalloyed devotees. These devotees are compared to swans, ducks, and bees. The rivers flowing produces a melodious sound that gladdens their ears. Purport. Our tongues always engage in vibrating useless sounds that do not help us realize transcendental peace. The tongue is compared to a desert because a desert needs a constant supply of refreshing water to make it fertile and fruitful. Water is the substance most needed in the desert. The transient pleasure derived from mundane topics of art, culture, politics, sociology, dry philosophy, poetry, and so on, is compared to a mere drop of water, because although such topics have a qualitative feature of transcendental pleasure, they are saturated with the modes of material nature. Therefore, neither collectively nor individually can they satisfy the vast requirements of the desert-like tongue. Despite crying in various conferences, therefore, the desert-like tongue continues to be parched. For this reason, people from all parts of the world must call for the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are compared to swans swimming around the beautiful lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or bees humming around his lotus feet in transcendental pleasure, searching for honey. The dryness of material happiness cannot be moistened by so-called philosophers who cry for Brahman, liberation, and similar dry speculative objects. The urge of the soul proper is different. The soul can only be solaced only by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his many bona fide devotees, who never leave the lotus feet of the Lord to become imitation Mahaprabhus, but all cling to his lotus feet like bees that never leave a honey-soaked lotus flower. Lord Chaitanya's movement of Krishna consciousness is full of dancing and singing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It is compared herein to the pure waters of the Ganges, which are full of lotus flowers. The enjoyers of these lotus flowers are the pure devotees, who are like bees and swans. They chant like the flowing of the Ganges, the river of the celestial kingdom. The author desires such sweetly flowing waves to cover his tongue. He humbly compares himself to materialistic persons who always engage in dry talk from which they derive no satisfaction. If they were to use their dry tongues to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, they would taste sweet nectar and enjoy life. Text number 3. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai, all glories, Sri Chaitanya, to Lord Chaitanya. Jai, all glory, Nityananda, to Lord Nityananda. Jai, all glory, Advaita Chandra, to Advaita-ācārya. Jai, all glory, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, to the devotees of Lord Gauranga. Translation. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Sri Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra and all glories to the devotees of Lord Gauranga. Text number 4. Tritiya Shlokirartha Kari Vivaran Vastu Nirdesha Rupa Mangala Charanam. Tritiya, third, Shlokera, of the birth, Artha, the meaning, Kari, I do, Vivarana, description, Vastu, of the absolute truth, Nirdesha Rupa, in the form of delineation, Mangala, auspicious, Acharana, conduct. Translation. Let me describe the meaning of the third verse, or of the first 14. It is an auspicious vibration that describes the absolute truth. Text number 5. Yadadvaitam brahmopanishadi tadapi asya tanubhav yatmantaryami purusha iti sosyam shabhibhavaham shadeshvarye purno yayaha bhagavan sasvayamayam Nachitanyat Krishna's Jagati Paratatvam Paramiham Yat, that which Advaitam, without a second, Brahma, the impersonal Brahman, Upanishadi, in the Upanishads, Tat, that, Api, certainly, Asya, his, Tanubha, the effulgence of his transcendental body, Yahu, Atma, the supersoul, Antaryami, indwelling Lord, Purushaha, the supreme enjoyer, Iti, thus, Sa, he, Asya, his, Amsha Vibhavaha, expansion of a plenary exportion, Shat Eshvarye, with the 6 opulences, Purnaha, full, Yahu, Iha, here, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sa, he, Swayam, himself, Ayam, this one, Na, not, Chaitanyat, then Lord Chaitanya, Krishnat, then Lord Krishna, Jagati, in the world, Para, higher, Tattvam, truth, Param, another, Iha, here. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, And the Lord known as the Super Soul is but his localized plenary portion. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Purport by His Divine Grace. The compilers of the Upanishads speak very highly of the impersonal Brahman. The Upanishads, which are considered the most elevated portion of the Vedic literatures, are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association and who therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. The prefix upa indicate that one must receive knowledge about the absolute truth from a spiritual master. One who has faith in his spiritual master actually receives transcendental instruction. And as his attachment for material life slackens, he is able to advance on the spiritual path. Knowledge of the transcendental science of the Upanishads can free one from the entanglement of existence in the material world. And when thus liberated, one can be elevated to the spiritual kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by advancement in spiritual life. The beginning of spiritual enlightenment is realization of impersonal Brahman. Such realization is effected by gradual negation of material variegatedness. Impersonal Brahman realization is the partial, distant experience of the absolute truth that one achieves through the rational approach. It is compared to one seeing a hill from a distance and taking it to be a smoky cloud. A hill is not a smoky cloud, but it appears to be one from a distance because of our imperfect vision. In imperfect or smoky realization of the absolute truth, spiritual variegatedness is conspicuous by its absence. This experience is therefore called Advaitavad, or realization of the oneness of the absolute. The impersonal glowing effulgence of Brahman consists only of the personal body rays of the Supreme Godhead, Sri Krishna. Since Sri Gaurasundar, or Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is identical with Sri Krishna himself, the Brahman effulgence consists of the rays of his transcendental body. Similarly, the super soul, which is called the Paramatma, is a plenary representation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Antaryami, the super soul in everyone's heart, is the controller of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, wherein Lord Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham riddhi sanivishtaha. I am situated in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Bhagavad Gita also states, 529, Bhuktaram yajñatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram, indicating that the Supreme Lord, acting in his expansion as the super soul, is the proprietor of everything. Similarly, the Brahma Samhita states, Andantarashta paramanu chayantarashtam. The Lord is present everywhere, within the heart of every living entity, and within each and every atom as well. Thus, by this super soul feature, the Lord is all pervading. Furthermore, Lord Chaitanya is also the master of all wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because he is Sri Krishna himself. He is described as Purna, or complete. In the feature of Lord Chaitanya, the Lord is an ideal renouncer, just as Sri Rama was an ideal king. He accepted the order of sannyas and exemplified exceedingly wonderful principles in his own life. No one can compare to him in the order of sannyas. Although in Kali Yuga, acceptance of the sannyas order is generally forbidden, Lord Chaitanya accepted it because he's complete in renunciation. Others cannot imitate him, but can only follow in his footsteps as far as possible. Those who are unfit for this order of life are strictly forbidden by the injunctions of the Shastras to accept it. Lord Chaitanya, however, is complete in renunciation, as well as all other opulences. He is therefore the highest principle of the absolute truth. By an analytical study of the truth of Lord Chaitanya, one will find that he is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. No one is greater than or even equal to him. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Bhagavad Gita 7:7. Thus it is here confirmed that there is no truth higher than Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. The impersonal Brahman is the goal of those who cultivate the study of books of transcendental knowledge, and the supersoul is the goal of those who perform the yoga practices. One who knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead surpasses realization of both Brahman and Paramatma, because Bhagavan is the ultimate platform of absolute knowledge. The personality of Godhead is the complete form of Satchidananda, full life, knowledge, and bliss. By realization of the Sat portion of the complete whole, unlimited existence, one realizes the impersonal Brahman of the Lord. By realization of the Chit portion of the complete whole, unlimited knowledge, one can realize the localized aspect of the Lord, Paramatma. But neither of these partial realizations of the complete whole can help one realize Ananda, or complete bliss. Without such realization of Ananda, knowledge of the absolute truth is incomplete. This verse of Caitanya-caritāmṛta by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is confirmed by a parallel statement in the Tattva Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami. In the 8th part of Tattva Sandarbha, it is said that the absolute truth is sometimes approached as impersonal Brahman, which, although spiritual, is only a partial representation of the absolute truth. Narayana, the predominating deity in Vaikuntha, is to be known as an expansion of Sri Krishna, but Sri Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the object of the transcendental love of all living entities. Text number 6. Brahmatma Bhagavan Anuvadatina Anga Prabhamsha Swarupatina Videya Chinna. Brahma, the impersonal Brahman. Atma, the localized Paramatma. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Anuvada, subjects. Tina, 3. Anga Prabha, bodily effulgence. Amsha, partial manifestation. Swarupa, original form. Tina, 3. Videya Chinna, predicates. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead are 3 subjects, and the glowing effulgence, the partial manifestation, and the original form are their 3 respective predicates. Text 7. Anuvadage pachivide rastapan seartha kahishuna shastra vivaran. Anuvada, the subject. Age, First, pachi, afterwards, videya, the predicate, stapana, placing, say, this, artha, the meaning, kahi, I speak, shuna, please listen, shastra vivarana, to the description of the scriptures. Translation. A predicate always follows its subject. Now I shall explain the meaning of this verse according to the revealed scriptures. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We'll all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. So here we see in the second chapter of Adi Lila that Krishna Das Kaviraj is now starting to explain systematically in detail the position of the absolute truth, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the three features of the personality of God at Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. As we will see in this book, Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there are so many detailed explanations by Krishna Das Kaviraj, and his foremost representative is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, explaining the meaning of all of these various texts. The Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta is considered the foremost literature in Gaudiya Vaishnavism because it explains not only the life and activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it goes into details into the theology and philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Srila Prabhupada, some way or other, managed to get this translated within a short amount of time. And with the efforts of many devotees, this was published in 74, 75. This is considered by Srila Prabhupada to be the topmost study of transcendental science. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, through his writings, brought back the Krishna Consciousness movement. The Bhaktivedanta Thakur wrote a purport to the Caitanya-caritāmṛta called Amrita Prabhaha Bhashya, or the Nectar Purport. And within the writings of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he found in his research an Upanishad called Sri Chaitanya Upanishad from the Atharva Veda, and he wrote a commentary on it. Prabhupada writes in the Adi Lila, chapter 2, text 22, that we will see next week, apart from the relevant scriptural evidence forwarded by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, there are innumerable statements regarding Lord Chaitanya as being the Supreme Lord himself. The following examples may be cited from the Caitanya Upanishad. Goraha Saravatma Mahapurusho Mahatma Yogi Trigunatitaha Sattvarupo Bhaktim Loki Kasyati. Lord Gaura, who is the all-pervading super soul, the supreme personality of God, it appears as a great saint and powerful mystic who is above the three modes of nature and is the emblem of transcendental activity. It disseminates the cult of devotion throughout the world. I'm going to read a few passages from this Upanishad because we just celebrated on Monday and yesterday the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Harihi Om Ata Pippaladaha Shamit Panir Bhagavantam Brahmanopasanno Bhagavan Meshubam Kimatra Chakshasveti. Thereafter, Pippalada, with sacrificial fune in hand, approached Lord Brahma and said, "Oh, my Lord, in this world, please tell me what is real auspiciousness." In his Caitanya-caritāmṛta Bhashya, commentary of Sri Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he writes, "Panchatattvan vitam natva Caitanya rasa vigraham Caitanya-Upanishad Bhashyam karomyatma vishuddhaye." After offering obeisances unto the Panchatattva, I'm writing this commentary on the Caitanya Upanishad, which is the form of the mellow of Lord Chaitanya for self-purification. The Caitanya Upanishad, which is included within the eternal Atharva Veda, and which is full of all bliss, has thus far not been manifest due to being beyond the vision of persons who have become blinded by the influence of the illusory energy and whose minds are directed towards external matters. Then when Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, the moon of Navadvip, appeared by the endeavor of the pure devotees, it became known. According to the authority of the Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.38, even the Shastras are in a covered form concerning the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya, who is to be worshipped in Kali Yuga. Or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in a covered form according to the Shastras. Therefore, it is not surprising that due to misfortune, the fools who are engaged in karma and jnana have no faith in this connection. After examining many Shastras and performing much worship, Pippalada Muni, desiring his own welfare, approached the Guru, the four-faced Lord Brahma, with fuel in hand and asked, "What is best for me?" Text number 2. Sauvacha bhuyaeva tapasa brahmacharyena shashvat ramasya manoyavaseti. Lord Brahma said, "Always be pleased with only austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind." Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. Lord Brahma said to him, after spending 1 year acting for the purification of mind and body, by pure behavior in renunciation, by yoga practice and austerity, come again. Text number 3. Satata bhutva bhuyayenam upasadyaha bhagavan kalo papaschannaha prajatikatam muchiraniti. Translation: He, Pippalada, becoming pure in mind, again approached his father and said, "O my Lord Brahma, in the age of Kali Yuga, people are covered due to sin. How can they obtain liberation?" Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. After practicing purification of the body and mind by celibacy and austerity, Pippalada again approached his guru and inquired, "In Kali Yuga, how can those who are sinful by nature obtain liberation from the material condition?" Text number 4. Kova devata kova mantra bruhiti. Please tell me which deity or which mantra is worthy of service. Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. O my Lord, for the living beings whose minds are contaminated by Kali Yuga, please tell me which deity or which mantra should be served. Text number 5. Arahasyam te vadishyami janavitire nabadvipe golokaki dhamni govindo dvibujo goraha saravatma mahapurushu mahatma mahayogi trigunatitaha Satvarupo bhaktiloki kasyatiti tadeke shloka bhavanti. Translation: Lord Brahma replied, "I will tell you the confidential truth. On the bank of the Janavi in Navadvip Dham, which is known as Goloka, Govinda with 2 arms, golden complexion, the super soul, the greatest personality, the greatest yogi, the supreme being, who is transcendental to the modes of nature, and whose form is truth, will appear to manifest devotional service bhakti in this world. These verses describe that. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11.5.33-34, the state of being of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Chaitanya, the Savior of Kali Yuga, is proven. Vyayam sadaparibhavagyam abhishtadoham tirtashpadam shivavirinchinutam sharanyam brityartaham pranatapala bababdipotam vande mahapurushate charanarabindam. O Supreme Person, O Protector of the devotees, I offer my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet, which are worthy of being constantly meditated upon, which destroy misery, yield all desire, which are the abode of all holy places of pilgrimage, which are praised by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, which are the shelter of all, which dispel the distress of the devotees, and which are a boat for crossing over the ocean of material existence. Yaktva sudustyaja suripsita raja lakshmim dharmishta arya vajasayadagararanyam maya mrigam dayitapshitam anvadhavad vande mahapurushate charanarabindam. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls who are put into illusion by the material energy. Text number 6. Eko devaha sarvarupi mahatma Gora rakto shyamala shveta rupaha Chaitanyatma Sava Chaitanya Shabdir Bhaktakaro Bhaktido Bhaktividyaha. Translation. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in a variety of transcendental forms, is also known as Gaura. He has also appeared in various complexions such as red, blackish, and white. He shall appear in the form of Gaura. He himself is Chaitanya, the embodiment of Chit Shakti. He shall appear in the form of a devotee to bestow devotional service to the Lord, and he is also to be known by devotional service. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.13, the Lord's characteristics are described by Garga Muni. Shukloratastata pita idanim krishnatam gataha. He has been white, red, and yellow, and now in Dwapara Yuga, he is blackish. In Kali Yuga, he takes the form of a devotee. The confidential truth is that the Lord has descended with his own abode, Goloka Dhama, to the supremely sanctified land of Gauda, in the form of a devotee as Sri Krishna Chaitanya himself, and desiring to deliver love of God, he has exposed the transcendental secret of Madhura Rasa, which enlivens all the devotees in the material world, headed by Shatakopa, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka, etc., for the purpose of quickly bestowing auspiciousness unto the living beings in Kali Yuga. Bhaktivedanta means that the living entities can know the Lord by the practice of devotional service and not by the practice of dry philosophical speculations. Text number 7. Namo Vedanta Vidyaya Krishnaya Paramatmane Sarva Chaitanya Rupaya Chaitanyaya Namo Namaha. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto he who is to be understood by Vedanta, who is Krishna, the super soul, whose form is conscious of everything. Obeisances again and again unto Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. Even Lord Brahma offers his obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya after considering his unlimited mercy upon Lord Brahma's own Madhva Sampradaya. Text number 8. Vedanta Vidyam Purusham Puranam Chaitanyatmanam Vishwayonim Mahantam Tameva Viditva Atimrityumiti Nanya Panta Vidyate Anayana. Translation: by knowing him who is to be known by Vedanta, who is the oldest personality, who is himself Chaitanya, the source of the universe and the greatest, one can overcome that. There is no other means for going beyond Maya. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta commentary. Vedanta Vidyam means he speaks to Pipalada after reflecting upon the conclusion of all the Vedas. Sri Chaitanya, although in the form of a devotee, can be known by Vedanta as being directly Sri Krishna. For the living beings who have given up the material world without the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya, there is no other means for entering into the spiritual world. According to the evidence of Ramanuja, etc., by the mellow of servitorship, Dasyarasa, there is no direct path. The destination of those who practice Dasyarasa, etc., is limited to Vaikuntha. This is apparent in their books, etc. This is because Sri Chaitanya, who is the source of the universe and the only teacher in the manner of instructing Vraja Rasa. We will continue this text next week, next Wednesday, and now we'll turn over the platform to Vishwakarma Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for that extensive review of the philosophy of the Chaitanya Vaishnava mission. And we'll move right into the discussion. Today, Prabhupada further in text 2 of this chapter, in the purport, I'll just refer to that quickly. Our tongues always engage in vibrating useless sounds that do not help us realize transcendental peace. The tongue is compared to a desert because a desert needs a constant supply of refreshing water to make it fertile and fruitful. Water is substance most needed in the desert. The transient pleasure derived from mundane topics of art, culture, politics, and sociology, dry philosophy, poetry, and so on is compared to a mere drop of water because although such topics have a qualitative feature of transcendental pleasure, they are saturated with the modes of material nature. Therefore, neither collectively nor individually can they satisfy the vast requirements of the desert-like tongue. So this is the business of the material-minded person, to always talk. They've always got something to say about nothing. Whether it's a business endeavor, whether it's a family matter, whether it is a news matter, it is generally frivolous, just like the newspaper. The newspaper, Prabhupada explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is for garbage, for the garbage. Once you get the newspaper, you can read it, you can repeat it, but what do you do with it at the end of the day? You throw it in the garbage. So this is the garbage mind of the modern human being. And the symptom of it is constantly speaking useless, frivolous subjects, constantly. And it's apparent wherever we go, that's all we hear is some useless conversation between this person and that person. So back at the text 106 of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Lord Chaitanya it says here, essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. Simply hearing submissively will free one's heart from all the faults of ignorance, and thus one will achieve deep love for Krishna. This is the path of peace. So this process of devotional service that we are following week after week together in the Prabhupada Disciples Association is a cure for material life. I'm reading forward in Madhya Lila, Volume 7, and one small section of one of Prabhupada's purports really struck me, and I thought I would read it to all of us just briefly, and then we can open up the discussion with our wonderful group of devotees globally that are with us today. This is Madhya Lila, chapter 17, text 80. Madhya Lila, chapter 17, text 80. What text is that? Yes, okay, there we are. I'll just read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchidananda Vigraha, transcendental bliss, knowledge, and eternity. I offer my respectful obeisances unto He who turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. This is a quotation from the Bhavarta Deepika commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, text 81. In this way, Balabhadra Bhattacharya offered his prayers to the Lord by rendering service unto him in ecstatic love. He pacified the Lord's mind. Text 82, translation. Finally, the Lord, with great happiness, arrived at the holy place called Kazi. He took his bath in the bathing ghat known as Manikarnika. Purport. Kashi is another name for Varanasi, Benares. It has been a place of pilgrimage since time immemorial. Two rivers named Ashi and Varuna merged there. Manikarnika is famous because, according to the opinion of great personalities, a bejeweled earring fell from there from the ear of Lord Vishnu. According to some, it fell from the ear of Lord Shiva. The word Mani means jewel and Karnika means from the ear. Now here's the key section that I wanted to read to all of us. According to some, Lord Vishwanath Nata is the great physician who cures the disease of material existence by delivering a person through the ear, which receives the vibration of the holy name of Lord Rama. So this cure for the disease condition of life that we all have is to constantly hear, in association with the bona fide disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the unadulterated teachings that he has so eloquently delivered to us in these various mediums, his books and his lectures and his morning walks, his letters, and there's 37 volumes of his conversations with the devotees. If you're fortunate enough to have a set of those, it can fully engage you in hearing the transcendental sound vibration from the pure devotee, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and this will deliver you from the clutches of Maya and take you back home, back to Godhead. I'd like to call upon our friend in Australia, Balaram Ji, to make a comment on how the reading has reflected in his mind.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Vanchakalpadrubhascha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Yes, I would just like to reflect on the wonderful shloka in the invocation verses given by Sriman Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Namo Mahabandhanaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gortishe Namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances under the Supreme Personality, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love of Krishna. Even Srila Prabhupada explained that even Krishna, when he spoke Bhagavad Gita, he didn't demonstrate. We had the incarnation of Mahāprabhu to show just how our devotional service should be performed, and this is the great mercy of our parampara. We learn from example, just like Sri Prahlad Maharaj. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam pada sevanam achanam bandhanam dashyam sakyam atmani vedanam. In the 7th canto, to his demoniac father, he explained the process of devotional service, the 9 processes, and our emphasis, of course, at this stage of our devotional service is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And if we hear properly, we will chant correctly. And if we hear and chant, we will remember Krishna. And that is the goal. Who are we supposed to remember at the time of death? Krishna. Yeah. And we're hearing in some of the readings that a slight deviation is like, I think Prabhupada gave the example, it's like shaving. Just a slight what would you say, a slight error, suddenly blood instead of a clean face. So with our devotional service, if we're serious, we have to follow the process of the Mahajans. And Prahlad Maharaj, we pray to him every day, Sri Prahlad, to inspire us. So, I mean, personally, I have, from these last few months, since we've started the classes, I've found great inspiration. And I know also my godbrothers here in Australia, Dwaipayana Prabhu and myself, we drove down and spent half a day with Ugrashrava Prabhu and his good wife yesterday. And we had wonderful discussions with them down there. And so this process and the Lord Chaitanya giving pure love of Krishna. So sometimes the devotees say, well, how do I know if I'm advancing? You know, I'm chanting my rounds, I'm following the principles. Sometimes it's a bit difficult. Material world, there's so many distractions. And Prabhupada has said many times, you can judge your advancement by how are you enthusiastic to hear about Krishna and to chant your rounds. If your round, only 16 rounds, as I said last week, Prabhupada mercifully reduced from 64 rounds to 16, and still we have trouble. So the enthusiasm, we shouldn't be looking at our rounds as, oh yes, I've still got my rounds to do, as if it's some obligation. The more we're attracted to the process of hearing and chanting, that's actually our advancement in Krishna consciousness. To be able to be attracted to see the beautiful form. You're explaining very nicely how well, we don't even say in this age kamis, because they're not kamis, they're vikamis. They don't follow any Vedic principles as you know, kamis do, but all of the endeavor that's going on in the material world, shrama eva keva Shrama eva hi kevalam. That beautiful verse in the first canto of Bhagavatam, I think it's 1-8. Dhamma shwanustita pumsam vishvaksena katasuya notpadayed jatiradin shrama eva hi kevalam. Any dharma or any activity which does not bring us to the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord is simply simply a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. So this is how we can judge our devotional service, our devotional life. We're all having satsanga, we're gathering together, inspiring each other. And as you're saying, how does this affect us here? We're very isolated in Australia. Fortunately, fortunately, before the age of intercom and internet, we didn't hear a lot about what was happening in the rest of the world. Some of what was going on in Europe and what was going on in America, we're a little bit isolated down here, and it was only when we got up to Mayapur or Vrindavan that we heard some of the actual unfortunate truths that were going on. So we were a little isolated down here, and we're seeing now that we've got the wonderful service of Venkat Prabhu, who is providing this fabulous service for us. So all I can say is that we're becoming more and more enthusiastic to associate. And I was listening to a Srila Prabhupada class this morning, and I would just like to read just a couple of paragraphs, which I'd like to finish on. And it's a beautiful section in the class where Srila Prabhupada was explaining the attraction of Krishna to Radharani and Radharani to Krishna. So if I could just read this quickly, would that be okay?
Go ahead, please.
But this is just an excerpt from the class. By Srila Prabhupada. So that talks of God is here in Krishna consciousness. We are talking about Krishna. Because our God is not impersonal, void. No, he is the supreme person, Krishna. You can see personally how he's standing, how he's enjoying with his eternal consort, lover, Srimati Radharani. Here is God, actually. God is not engaged in punishing somebody, original God. God is engaged in enjoying with his eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. This Srimati Radharani is enchanting Krishna, and Krishna is enchanting Radharani. This is the business of God. Duhe lage harai. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, it is said that when Krishna comes before Radharani, she becomes so much engladdened by seeing the beauty of Krishna that she becomes more beautiful. And as soon as Radharani becomes more beautiful, Krishna becomes engladdened and he becomes more beautiful. So unlimitedly, there is competition of becoming more beautiful. Duhe lage harai. That is the statement, competition. Because in the spiritual world, everything is unlimited. So unlimitedly, both of them becoming beautiful and both of them enjoying unlimitedly. This is Krishna consciousness. So this is from Srila Prabhupada's class I just listened to this morning. And Krishna doesn't worry about Krishna is enjoying with Radharani, his beauty. And I think just quickly, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, I read that he was explaining the Sadasvajapuri, the 6 opulences of Krishna, and his beauty is the core opulence. Beauty is Krishna's core opulence. We list the opulences, but actually Krishna's core opulence is his supreme beauty. That's what attracts everyone, and that's what attracts the gopis. The gopis weren't attracted to his renunciation or to his strength, and they weren't attracted to his book learning. They were simply attracted to his beauty, and that is the highest. So with that, I'd just like to finish there and thank all the devotees for their wonderful contribution. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Yes, it's true. We were isolated, many of us, and with the use of modern technology, we're dovetailing that in Krishna service. So it's not Maya to have a computer or to have a microphone or lighting to be part of this presentation for the benefit of everyone moving forward, because we are logging our classes are being recorded and they're being logged on Prabhupada TV. So if any of our members want to catch some of the classes, I think we have about 66 classes now online on the YouTube channel, and we'll continue building those. I see wonderful devotee from South India, Rathayatra Prabhu, who was originally in Detroit, I believe, doing Sankirtan there. And now he's working on a wonderful Prabhupada-focused community in South India, and he's getting support from various devotees to construct temples, and they have all kinds of wild, beautiful beasts there that are coming around, the bulls and that. Maybe you could comment on today's class, and we'd like to welcome you to the discussion. Rathayatra Prabhu.
Thank you, Krishna Karma. My humble obeisances.
Come closer to your microphone.
Okay.
You're gonna need to
Now.
get a microphone. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, so go ahead.
Okay, yes, my humble obeisances to this wonderful assembly of devotees. I could hear Yaśodā-nandana speak all day long. I mean, just unbelievable. It's here in Prabhupada in association with my fellow God brothers in Australia, in Canada. Aparika Das, Haribo. Aparika Das actually came, we should come to South India. And we would
Yes.
stay in Bangalore Ishka Temple, and we would distribute books together. And we had a big time. Right, and I found Mahamsa Swami, who is now Mahamsa Prabhu in Bangalore. He has an apartment that I was staying in next door. So it was wonderful how he arranges this. And then when the lockdown happened, they wanted us to hide ourselves in an apartment, wear a mask, and take some government free injection. And I called Mahamsa and said, I'm not going to do this. And so he said, come up through the mountains. And I've been here since 2020. And, the government says, you would die if you don't do this. But I didn't do it, and I did not die. In fact, more people doing it. So we have to be careful also of fake Hare Krishna Swamis. They're all over India. Gurus. They rubber stamping sannyasis and gurus every year. It's the institution that we used to belong to. And for those who are online here, and for the future devotees who are going to hear this class, beware. We have Srila Prabhupada. Living presence is here. I live in the mountains, in the forest, and yes, we have nature so unbelievable. We're very isolated, but we don't need to be isolated when we have Prabhupada 24/7. I have a device here. You can see it. The little red device here. I and chant my rounds with Srila Prabhupada. I listen to the class of Prabhupada every day. In fact, it's like so many classes. I've been, there's 100 classes. I have a whole book of them. Right now, I'm listening to Prabhupada in Vrindavan on the 5th canto. And we were talking about how Bhaktivedanta said, you could beat our mind with a shoe 100 times in the morning, and beat it with a broomstick at night 100 times. And that's the standard. We have to beat this mind. Our mind is not our friend. And I was hearing Prabhupada speak the other day in Vrindavan, the 5th canto, about the mind. He was repeating Bhaktivedanta's instructions how we have to beat it in the morning and night. And the mind is not our friend. We have to be in constant association. Like we were reading today, we have to be like here. The Vedic lineages are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association. I don't want to be around these people. it's like leaving the city and living in the mountains. I just tuned into nature with fresh air and clean water, and I am so healthy. These cities are killing me. The Material Association. I never want to go back to America. I mean, I can't even think of it. The Prabhupada says, for those who desire to get free from Material Association, must approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. And a bona fide spiritual master is our Srila Prabhupada. And for the generation, I cannot just think that it's just here for us. He's here for future generations. And we have the technology today to have Prabhupada with us 24 hours 7. So I know time is running short. I want to thank you very much. But yes, we can see the pictures here. It's an island in the sky. It really is. The weather's perfect all year. No extreme cold, no extreme hot, no mosquitoes, Prabhu. Come and visit. And,
well, someday we will.
We have like 20 construction workers here now. Mahamsa's floors going, building a temple or we're remodeling our cottages. And the demons are trying to stop us. Because the only people around us is the protected forest, full of wildlife and birds, unbelievable sounds. When I do my Gayatri in the morning, I look at the sun rising, and then I start waking up. And I'm not talking roosters or chickens, I'm talking wild peacock, wild pheasant. The birds are unbelievable. And then we have a wild buffalo here that looks like the buffalo in the American West.
Yeah.
Come by. They're all over here. I mean, I'd be looking outside and a buffalo walk right by me. I took you guys pictures before. But yes, it's very nice. I can't believe a junkie from San Francisco is living on the top of a mountain in South India. And when I want to go to Sri Rangam, I just take a taxi cab. When I want to go to Puri, I fly to Puri. It's just amazing why I'm able to do this, but it's only because of the grace of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. We must, like Balaram was saying, you chant those rounds. You wake up early and you chant good rounds. You beat your head till you get those rounds, and after 6 or 7 rounds, it just flows. And that's the way I start my day. And then constantly hearing Prabhupada, I can put this around my neck. And when I go on a morning walk in the forest, I'm hearing Prabhupada. Here's morning walks. So he's available to us, and I want to stress that to the new devotees, and the people are going to hear this class. Hear these classes, join our group. We are giving you Prabhupada, and beware of these false Hare Krishna gurus. Thank you all for this.
Prabhu, you've got so much enthusiasm. It's just beautiful to see, and inspiring, very inspiring. For us. I wanted to mention before we'll carry on with the discussion. Lord Chaitanya is revealed through sound vibration. That's how we know about him. Through the writings of Krishna Das, Kaviraj, Goswami, and now by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya is being revealed through sound vibration. He's present in the sound, just like he's present in the holy name. When you chant the holy name of Krishna, Krishna is dancing on your tongue. In the same way, Srila Prabhupada is still with us. This is the mistake of some of our God brothers who believe that you need a body of bones and blood and flesh guru in order to get Krishna. No, Prabhupada is present. He is alive in his Vani incarnation, and all of us are a reflection, a representation of that, all of the Prabhupada disciples in this association, because we're all taking shelter of the same spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. I wanted to ask Is Dharma Bhavana still with us in Dallas, Texas? Is he still on the talk? Dharma Bhavana, you're having a very successful program in Dallas. We saw some beautiful photographs of a large gathering of people. So each of us in our particular areas are expanding the association that we give each other and then bringing people to the discussions. Dvaipana, could you make a few comments with the group today to share with our worldwide audience? He's also in Australia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Is
come
mic
close
on?
to your microphone. Stay close to your
Okay.
microphone. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol,
Hare Krishna.
glories to
Thanks,
Prabhupada.
thank you. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank all the devotees. A very nice discussion. Okay, I would like to comment on the verse that you also commented on, Vishwakarma, comparing the tongue to a desert. Last Saturday night, I was coming home from a chanting program in Surfers Paradise on a tram, a public tram. Saturday night, it was full of drunken people talking, and as drunken people talk aloud, nearby there was a bunch of guys talking, and one of them said to the other guy, "Are you still doing nothing?" And they all laughed. So that thought reminded me of this verse you quoted. When you're talking about materialistic subjects, you're actually talking about nothing, and the tongue is dry. It doesn't satisfy the tongue no matter how much you talk about nothing. So as the verse quoted by Lord Balaram about Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful incarnation. So I was saying, this is my realization of how merciful Lord Chaitanya is that he's a giving away love of Krishna for free. Simply by coming together and chanting the holy name of the Lord is the worship of Lord Chaitanya. So one way to connect with this mercy of Lord Chaitanya is by continuing to give away freely the chanting and the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya. Now, I think all of us have had the experience, I'm talking to myself more than anyone else, when you're preaching to someone and they ask you a question and then something happens and actually you're not talking, but from within your heart, this flow of nectar is coming, and you see it in the eyes of someone you're talking to, that they're getting at what you're saying. So this is really, I think this is really the topmost way of connecting to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, by freely giving away his mercy to other people.
Exactly.
So, you know, we all have the opportunity to meet people and explain about this philosophy. So this is really a way of experiencing the nectar of Lord Chaitanya. You can try it, you meet people, explain to them what you're doing, who is Lord Chaitanya, what is the mercy of chanting Hare Krishna, how to come together and chant Hare Krishna. And like I said, I think we've all experienced this. It doesn't happen to me very often these days, but we can all remember it happened in the past. It can happen again by freely giving away the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, by the way, for your realization. And it is really the essence of our philosophy to share it with others. So we want to proliferate our group, make it as big as possible for the pleasure of our spiritual master and for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. We're moving forward here. I see we've got up to 9:40 already. So we're going to carry on after with the discussion, but we are going to bring the program, which went by very quickly, Dvaipana, didn't it? It just went by like a flash. And it's amazing when you get a chance to associate with all of the God brothers of Srila Prabhupada. There's so much information that we can share together. Sadhu Sangha, the association of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, who are also very dear to the Lord and very dear to our spiritual master, his disciples. So, Venkat, we're going to ask you to please bring the kirtan forward, this beautiful kirtan. Notice Prabhupada's playing with the bongos here, so it was in 65, 66 that this was recorded. And after the kirtan, we'll carry on with a brief discussion on any topics that the group want to discuss with us. And all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so those are staying.